Let's pivot over to Collin Murray-Boyles because I think he's another guy who's really divisive. My guy Bryce Simon from the Game Theory podcast did a mock a month ago and suggested him for the Wizards. It was before the lottery, so they were fifth in their mock draft, and he had Collin Murray-Boyles going fifth to the Wizards. And I, along with the most of Wizards Twitter who saw that, roasted him for it. But I would love to hear, where you're at with Murray-Boyles because he is insanely productive.
Yeah, he shows up really well in the stat profile, 62% on twos. Obviously cannot shoot threes, 26% on threes, but barely took any. A lot of rebounding. To be honest, his stat profile looks a lot more like a big, but he defends.
That's just for context. Like he's a 6'7" center, in my opinion. So that's kind of what you're banking on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as I look at his profile, look at his stats and look at his profile, he looks to me more like one of those energy hustle defender types than who can also score unless he can shoot 38% from three. If he can't do that, I think he's more I'm trying to think of who.
Chuck Hayes.
Yeah, Chuck Hayes. Yeah, I can see that. But if he can't shoot, that's a challenge for him at 6'7". I could see him as a small ball center. I could see him, like I say, as a high energy, wing defender, maybe like Atari Eason, although Atari Eason's longer. So.
Yeah, like to me, you're hoping he's like, you and I were both high on Brandon Clark going in that particular draft, and I'd say injuries are the main reason he hasn't been a productive NBA player, consistently. But that's the
Brandon
thing I
Clark
worry about
is such a weirdo. I enjoy him.
Yeah, agreed. You don't see many people with that profile of like a guy with a minus wingspan who's also the best athlete in a class, which is wild.
Yeah, a minus wingspan who's tons of steals, tons of blocks, tons of rebounds. It's like he's, it's like, and then his stat profile in college in Yoda, I've run the doppelganger, and his top comp was Karl Anthony Towns. It's like, how is this?
Yeah, makes total sense.
And it's just because he just produces so much of everything that he's kind of similar to everything.
Murray-Boyles is the guy I worry about of just like hyper productive college player, but it's mostly just because he's like plays harder and is smarter than people, and does that still translate against like better NBA guys? So I am lower than consensus on him, and I would steer clear even at 18 personally, which is probably an unpopular opinion for a lot of folks, but I just kind of don't get it.
I would definitely draft him 18.
18,
yeah. I would consider drafting him 6, but probably not. But I would probably love to see him. I would say I wouldn't describe him as like insanely productive. He was productive, but not like the freakish, like you look at, say, Dennis Rodman when you
that's
college, they were absolutely
going to get every rebound ever.
That he was playing against, like me, but Murray-Boyles was at least playing, major college basketball. His team wasn't that good,
and that was the thing. Like he was probably the reason they were respectable for most of the year, honestly. And I'm thinking of one particular game where they played Georgia, and Murray-Boyles had like 30 and 18, and a guy I love, Asa Newell, had like 12 and 6, and it was just like, I still like Asa a lot better as a prospect.
Yeah.
But Murray-Boyles just stole his lunch money for, 40 minutes. So it's like, how do I reconcile the same thing? But
you don't want to overread one game, but
exactly. Yeah, that's just one that stuck with me. It's just like, damn, like he's just getting everything he wants here. But yeah,